Okay, this is the bonnet off my Lightweight Landrover. Yeah, scabby looking thing, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy on this thing. I'm not going to be skimming it in filler and trying to make it smooth as a baby's bottom and all of this business. But at the end of the day, it's a military vehicle. It's had quite a life. It's been jumped on, ran over, bounced on. It's had the spare wheel dumped on and off the bonnet over and over for a number of years. It's had various modifications. People have drilled holes in it, screwed things to it, taken things off, changed stuff. So basically there are a number of holes around on this bonnet. Now there are slightly less holes in the bonnet today than there were yesterday, and the reason is I've been over it with a product called Techweld, and Techweld is basically an alloy solder. It comes in little bags like this with a bit of paperwork saying suitable for welding most whatever repairs, damage into aluminium, cars, motorcycles, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so I've used it a couple of times. I did a little test job on a scrap of aluminium which I've got lying around somewhere, I think on the bench here. Basically what I did was I cut through this with a pair of tin snips, 90% of the way across the metal. This is aluminium, and then I splayed it slightly and then joined it up again with Techweld. Now I should have really ran some along on the back of it as well, because you can see you know, there is a line there where I've cut, but you can see as proof. And then I've Techwelded it up using a blowtorch and this Techweld alloy rod. So essentially it's an alloy solder, I would rather call it. So yesterday I decided the bonnet's an old Land Rover bonnet. It's, as I say, it's been bounced on and everything, and I thought I will have a go. I'll do some little practice work on it, and yeah, the big thing with Techweld is you're heating up the aluminium with a blowtorch. So what happens when you heat aluminium is it expands. You know, it expands in radiating out from the area where you're doing your repair, your filling in job. Yeah, so okay, it contracts again afterwards, but once it's expanded it puts a distortion in the panel, as you can possibly see if we look along on the panel. You see down here it's still relatively smooth, flat, but here there's a distortion. But there was already a bend in this panel here, where it's been well, someone's been jumping on it, and in the centre I've done some more Techwelding. There was 3 holes here, you see there, I haven't ground that lump off there, and here, and they need grinding flat. Now this was already all up and down because there's been something mounted on it right across the centre, something bolted down in 3 points. So number of holes I've patched up to now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 just there. So you can see I can run a grinder, or I can whatever, get a small Dremel tool and grind that flat, or I can use files, whatever I want, sandpaper, and sand the thing down. Now the Techweld is supposed to be, and I believe it is, stronger than the aluminium, even though the melting point of it is lower. Now to use this stuff you need to clean. If you're going to do a hole like this, they're the sizes of the holes. In fact, some of them were much bigger than that, twice the size of that. So you basically use some it's like a sandpaper, but it comes with the Techweld supply. It's probably a well, I'll say silicon. It's a silicate paper, I think. So you've got to basically sand the paint off, get it down to the alloy. You can see there's some sort of a plastic rivet in this one. That one's going to be coming off later. But this one here is what I'm planning on having a go on, and you can see it's already got a dent where the hole is. You know, something's thumped it in. You can see here are the proper aluminium spot welds. They leave this little telltale circle. You can see where it's been spot welded all the way along. Yeah. So there's a few spot welds. The spot welds all over the bonnet. You can see there's runs of them right up the bonnet there. You know, it's not a luxury vehicle, it's a military vehicle, and the spot welds show up. It's not to be filled in with body fillers. Along the back here, someone has put an aluminium reinforcing strip, piece of aluminium angle, and they had pop riveted it, and they'd pop riveted it with such small pop rivets that they wouldn't actually reach all the way through, and some of them had failed and the aluminium was starting to come away. So I've drilled them all out and I put nice big chunky pop rivets in, because I don't give a stuff about trying to hide them. Let's love the pop rivet, embrace the pop rivet. Okay, it's a Landrover, so I don't mind showing a few on it. Yeah, now, so what I'm in the process of doing is having a go at tech welding that hole. So I've cleaned that side, and I'm in the process of starting to clean this side. Great thing about aluminium, you can throw it around with one hand. Now, this is my Techweld soldering iron, which I made some years ago. I used to use it for another product called Weld, which is essentially the same thing. So what it is, it's a bit of old steel bar with a little piece of stainless, well, it's not true stainless steel, it's a piece of scrap steel, which is high, chromium. It's a piece of high chromium steel. Just a little scrap of this stuff. It's used in quite a lot of things in industry these days, and it tends not to rust very easily, but you can weld it still with mild steel wire, because it's not pure stainless in the true sense of the word. If I get a magnet, it sticks to it. So it's great stuff for doing car body structural work, because it welds. It's fairly rigid, it folds good, but it doesn't rust. So basically I've just welded that on there, and I've made a bit of a point on one corner, as you can see, and I've ground it like a blade, although you can't tell at the moment because there's Techweld stuck on it. So you get the idea, and I've put a little bend in it like so that you can basically apply, you can heat the Techweld up, and you can use this tool to spread it like a butter knife, like hot butter, and it works, and it's much better than the little stick that you get with a Weld or a Techweld kit to agitate. This, you put it in and you can hold it properly with your hand in this old whatever it is screwdriver handle, and you can scratch the surface and force it to adhere into the gap. And if you're working in a hole through a piece of aluminium, you can put Techweld into the hole and then push that into the let's see, you can push it, this is a piece of scrap steel obviously, but you can push this into the hole like so, and you can scrape that round the inner edge of the hole like that, and by doing that the Techweld flows round and bonds into the edge of the hole, and this scrapes any oxidizing off, so it works really well. I'm quite surprised that Weld or Techweld haven't started making one of these tools themselves and selling them. If they want to give me £5,000 for the idea, they can steal my idea off me. Yeah, right. So this thing also, it's got so many great uses. You can use it as a small scraping tool, so you can scrape paint off and so on around the area where you immediately want to work. Get the idea? You could do this with a screwdriver, but when you've got a perfect tool for it, and when it hasn't got Techweld stuck all over it, you can use it quite well. So it's good because you can see how I'm scraping the burrs off with this. Yeah, because that's a drill hole which has never been cleaned up, but it is now after a number of years. So due to my wonderful Techweld soldering tool made out of scrap. So come on, you can obviously get a drill bit and twist it in, so I'm not working on a luxury classic car here, I'm working on a Land Rover, and some people will say, well, there's no difference. A Land Rover is a classic car and you should be treating it with kid gloves and rubbing it down in baby oil and all sorts of things like that. Yeah, maybe some people are into that, but anyway, that's not too bad. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub that round with a piece of the emery cloth stuff. Well, say this This is 150 grade, it says on the back. It doesn't say exactly what type of paper it is, but I really need a proper thumb behind this. But you can see it will clean up. I'm not going to worry about cleaning all the paint off the 3 inches, because I just want to do a small repair in the immediate vicinity to where the hole is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish cleaning this edge up, then I'm going to put this camera on a tripod for a change and do the videoing correctly. Back in a moment. Okay, what I'm doing now, or have just done while I was off camera, is I've taken this strip of scrap stainless steel, which I put a little bit of an upwards bend in, and I'm placing that underneath the hole, and I'm going to clamp that, and that will basically stop the Techweld just going through the hole and falling on the floor, in theory. So let's zoom in and see how this goes. I say this stuff does distort the panel, and the best repair for this is really using a TIG welder. But a TIG welder, an AC TIG welder for doing aluminium work, costs anything from £500–600 in the UK. Now this here is the little stainless steel brush that you get in these kits. So you basically clean the area that you're going to be putting the Techweld on with that. Then you're done, and you should be able to start. So you don't need any fluxes with this. Now this blowtorch bit is too big. I'm going to try using a smaller one, which I have, but I tried it yesterday and I didn't have much success with it. The torch flame kept going out, but I'm hoping that I'm in a slightly more sheltered position here today. So I'm going to try this thing again and hope for the best. But I don't have much hope, personally, that it's going to work. Let's get this bonnet stay out the way. There we go. Let's see what this will do. Yep, out already. The slightest breeze. I don't know whether it's because there's a clogged jet. Doesn't seem to be a clogged jet. So if I can say it's probably not going to work, this. Right when I'm in the middle of doing something important, it'll go out. Yeah, gone out again. Back him out. Back him out. Okay, here we go. with the massive bit, that massive torch. See, the flame is just too big on this. Ideally, what I want to try using with this stuff is a HHO torch. Now, if you look on YouTube and you put in water welders and things like that, you will find people who, if you go on eBay, you will find HHO torches. And the advantage with the HHO torch is the flame is much hotter, but much smaller and more direct on the point where you want to work. And I keep contacting the people who are selling these things and ask them if they could try using this product with them, and none of them will, because it needs them investing £20 towards the sales of their equipment, and they just don't seem to be willing to try it. Anyway, I need to warm up my soldering iron, we will call it, or Techweld iron, at the same time as warming up the piece of metal that we're going to be working on. So I'll put the Techweld down and I'll start heating up the area. I'm sure I'm going to find now my camera is in the wrong place, and I'm going to be causing various blocking problems. Now you'll start to see very soon that the aluminium is going to start stretching, and I want to try and avoid this. I'm now applying the Techweld, and we just want a little blob, and ideally try to work it around the area. You can see the metal is expanding. This is how you ruin the panel. Because the blowtorch is too aggressive. And it's hard to control with a monumentally big flame. So basically, you put your goo in like so, and you can use the tool to rub it nice and flush like that. And there we go. We've now got a Techwelded repair. There we go. There we go. There we are. Come on. Yeah. So you can see it's it has indeed done a repair to this. It's burnt the paint off. It stretched the aluminium a bit. I was trying to not do it too much, but you can see it has plugged that hole. Now when I flip it over, it'll probably well, it may have adhered to this stainless steel. I'm hoping it hasn't though, and if it has, I'll have to heat it up and try and pull the stainless steel away. It's also burnt some of the paint off, which to be honest isn't a big problem on this, because it wants all sanding down and repainting anyway. You can see it's all the olive drab paintwork on the inside. Yeah, so that's another hole repaired. I have another 3. One over there, one here, where these little plastic nodule-y things are in. Something's been mounted on them, and they're going to be removed and Tech welded. So let's see what it's like on the other side. Might even be in shot there. Yeah, see there? So, in fact, we've not got any major distortions to the panel. So this side just needs a little bit of a work over now with the tool to clean the other side of it up. See if I can get the camera in a decent spot. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, there is distortion. There is distortion in the panel. It's got a crease across there now. So let's clean the area up. I'll work it over, the bonnet over with a rubber mallet and try and reduce the amount of distortions to some degree, but there's not a lot I can do. As I say, what I really need to do is buy a HHO torch and answer my own question, because no one else seems to be willing to do it for me. So I need to get this bit hot and the workpiece hot. Try not to put too great a heat into the aluminium. So you could try and gently heat the area more, but I don't think there's any answer. Whatever you do on aluminium, you're going to generate distortion in the panel. I could just grind the top of this off, but the theory is I should be able to do that with it. Right. I think that's fair. I'm not going to go crazy with this and try and get every piece off. I'm going to hope, there we go. Any little scraps of Techweld you can reuse if you can collect the pieces of scrapped Techweld. Where is it there? There it is. If you collect them, you can use them again, pour them back into something and make another stick with all the scrap. Now there's my little repair. So as I say, if you're not worried about the distortions which this thing's going to create, which it certainly does, you can see there's a distortion across there now. See how I can put my finger in this area now and it's already cool enough to touch, but I've got distortions. So you know, I'll work around this a little bit with a mallet and see what I can do. But the question is do you want real metal in the holes rather than car body filler, or pop rivets or bolts filling the holes, or paying £600 for a TIG welder, or taking it to someone and asking them to TIG weld all the holes up for you? So there's your dilemma. It's what you do. As I say, it's a heavily buckled, dented bonnet which people have been jumping on, and I probably wouldn't be doing this, well, I certainly wouldn't be doing this in some sort of well, whatever, some expensive sports car with an aluminium body, I wouldn't be doing it. Okay, that's the 2 holes at the front filled, and the rear ones as well done. And they need a little bit of a sanding down with a Dremel or a grinder or whatever, but you can see you know, they're all filled. As I say, this was a mess anyway, had dents all over the bonnet area. Yeah, it's filled them in. Say there's not tremendous huge distortion. Say there's dents in this bonnet anyway, you know, the war wounds, so a few more little creases in a Land Rover bonnet, especially a lightweight military one, don't really make much of a difference. So it's up to you whether you fancy having a go. The next big job that's to be undertaken could be trying to Techweld this lot. There's been a snorkel mounted here. See, I did originally think about TIGging it, but I might put an aluminium disc in and try and Techweld it all the way around. Who knows? I think the wing might have to come off to do it properly though.